If you've ever felt disconnected from your own body, like your mind is in one place and your body is somewhere entirely different, this is exactly where somatic healing can come in and be really, really helpful. In this video, we're going to talk about what somatic healing is, why we need somatics in the West, the 3 phases of somatic healing, what somatics isn't, the different kinds of somatic practices, and how to work with somatics safely. Somatic healing is all about reconnecting with your body's innate wisdom, and by doing this, we're able to heal and move through trauma, stress, chronic burnout, fatigue, anxiety, depression, and all of these other forms of disconnection from our bodies. Somatics isn't just about doing exercise or yoga or physical body-based practices. It's about listening to your body, learning how to understand the language of your body, which is the language of sensation, and learning how your body holds stories and memories and how to release and move through these different experiences. Before colonization, our ancestors lived fully embodied lives. Their minds, their bodies, and their spirits were in constant communication with each other and with the lands that they were part of. They didn't separate their thinking from their feeling. They were fully integrated and immersed into the landscape, their communities, and their lives. And this really allowed them to be responsive to their environment and to be responsive to their bodies and the bodies of the people that were part of their communities. And colonization was really the disconnection between us and our bodies for the purpose of perpetuating capitalism and all of these different systems of oppression. And in order for those systems to run, we have to be suppressing people and disconnecting them from the wisdom of their body and their relationships with land. And because we have experienced colonization and disembodiment and this disconnection from our bodies, this is where the practice somatic healing comes in. It's really about us being able to reclaim our ability to live embodied lives inside of our bodies, something that colonization has tried to take from us. And so somatics is something that exists because colonization exists. It's really the practices that allow us to get back to the way that our bodies naturally work, the way that they naturally orient and are in relationship with the natural world and with other human and non-human beings. A big part of somatic healing is having at least a basic understanding of how your nervous system works. Our bodies are really designed to respond to danger with 3 main survival responses, and those are fight, flight, and freeze. So these are automatic reactions. They can often happen without us even thinking or deciding that's how we want to react in a situation. And our body reacts to situations this way in order to protect us from a perceived harm. For example, with the fight response, your body starts to mobilize energy or activate energy in order to fight away danger. So you will start to have more blood rushing through your bodies, your muscles start to tense up, and your heart rate starts to increase. In the flight response, your body is preparing to run away from danger. So your digestive system might tighten and get kind of shut down, and your body starts to bring all of the energy into your legs and your periphery organs so that you can, or body parts, so that you can run away. And with the freeze response, sometimes our body will actually shut down feeling and sensation in different parts of our bodies so that we can survive through a threat that our body perceives as us not being able to get away from through fighting or running away. And this can often feel like numbness and overwhelm and all of these different sensations. And oftentimes this response can really start to develop in a chronic way when we're children, because often for children, they don't have as much power over their ability to get away if the danger is in their home, right? So if you can't fight or you can't flight, your body's going to learn how to shut down and freeze. So these 3 survival responses aren't bad. They're actually really important, and we need them in order to survive dangerous situations. The issue happens when any of these survival responses get stuck on in our body and continue continues to operate this way even when no danger is present. And this is often what we see when we have chronic anxiety or depression or other experiences where our body is perceiving a threat even though a threat isn't there. And so that energy that propels us to fight or run or freeze is stuck on in our bodies for prolonged periods of time rather than being turned on, getting away from danger, and then turning back off. So trauma and chronic stress can get our bodies stuck on into these chronic responses. And this happens because your body remembers dangerous situations long after they've happened. And it stores these memories in your body to prevent that from happening again and to keep you safe. For example, if you were in a relationship where things in that relationship that were happening were really unsafe, when you get out of that relationship, your body might register being in any kind of intimate relationship as dangerous because that's what you experienced in one or many intimate relationships. And so then if you get into a relationship with somebody who shows up in a way that is really safe, your body may still register that this relationship is dangerous because it's had an experience with intimacy equaling danger. And so when your body starts to feel sensations that remind them of a past experience, regardless of if that new experience is safe or not, your body can automatically start flooding you with this survival energy to try and protect you and keep you safe, because the parts of our bodies responsible for keeping us safe don't operate in the gray area. They see things as black and white. Either we are safe or we are unsafe. And if we feel this type of sensation, then therefore we are unsafe. And this is why somatic healing works so well, because somatic healing focuses on the language of sensation and practice. And these are the things that our bodies, when they've been through traumatic experiences, understand. And so we aren't just talking about what happened or talking about what we could be doing differently. When we're engaging in somatic practices, the body is literally rewiring itself when we practice noticing sensation, noticing releasing tension, and safety completing these uncompleted stress cycles that are living in our bodies. If you're wanting to do a little bit of a deeper dive in understanding the difference between somatic therapy and talk therapy, I have another video that you can watch about that where I break the difference between those two down, and it's a really great companion video to this one, and it really will help you understand why somatic practices are so helpful for navigating and healing from trauma and anxiety. So why do we need somatic healing in the West? In the West, so many of us have become disembodied because of the way our culture is designed. We spend so much of our time planning, worrying, analyzing things that we lose connection with our bodies. And somatic healing is really about coming back home to our bodies, coming back home to our ability to feel more, to sense the world around us, the natural world, other people we're in relationship with, and our own bodies. It's really about being able to reclaim our ability to respond to life with presence and awareness. And somatic healing is different than mindfulness in that with mindfulness, a lot of our focus is on being with the present moment. And in somatics, we're also practicing being with the present moment, but there's a lot of alchemy and transformation and movement that's happening in somatics because we aren't just simply noticing what's happening in our bodies. We're also engaging in somatic and embodied practice to start to become a new shape and to transform the way that we are now so that we can live in ways that feel more aligned with who we are and what we care about in the world and the life that we long for. So there's 3 phases that I see really with somatic practice, and those phases are somatics, embodiment, and animism. And this is really where I focus the core of my work in the spaces that I hold. So somatics is the practice. It's the things that we practice so that we can come more into relationship with our body and be more present with our sensations and what's happening in our bodies and also what's happening in the world around us. Somatics contains practices, rituals, and different tools that allow us to build awareness and connect with what's happening in our bodies. And then we have embodiment. And embodiment is really about what we are becoming when we're practicing somatic practice. Embodiment is who we become. It's what we embody. So embodiment is truly the process of starting to inhabit our bodies, starting to live inside of and feel more of what's happening in our bodies without it overwhelming our nervous systems. It's about being able to be present with whatever comes up without any judgment. Embodiment is really what we are becoming. So when we're engaged in somatic practice, embodiment is what we are starting to embody. It's the process of truly inhabiting our bodies and being able to become more aware and feel more of what's happening in our bodies, feel more of our sensations without that overwhelming our nervous system and without having to place a lot of judgment on what we are experiencing in our bodies. And then animism is how we relate. Animist practices are practices that have been practiced by indigenous communities for thousands of years. And this is about connecting to the world around us, our human and our non-human kin, and seeing yourself as part of a larger web and not the center of the universe. So with animism, we're able to come into relationship with the aliveness, the ashe, the magic that exists within all beings, and to be able to learn from, witness, and be in deep relationship and reciprocity with that energy. So somatics is what we practice, embody is who we be, who we become, and animism is how we relate to the world around us. So what somatics isn't just doing body-based practices, and this is really important to understand because you can do body-based practices, you can do the physical postures of yoga, you can go to the gym, you can work out. There's so many physical practices that you can do, and you can do those practices in an embodied way, but you can also do those practices in a way to escape or avoid feeling and sensation in your body. And somatics is really practices that help us come into relationship with our bodies rather than run away from what's happening inside of them. Somatics also isn't a way to feel calm and happy all of the time. I think a lot of times when people look to practices like yoga and mindfulness and somatics, what they're wanting is they're wanting to feel better. And somatics isn't the practice of feeling better. Somatics is actually the practice of feeling more. We want to increase our capacity and our ability to feel more of what's happening in our bodies without it overwhelming our nervous system. So for a lot of people, feeling anxious or overwhelmed or stressed out is way too much to manage. And for a lot of us, our body starts to shut down and all these things start to happen. And somatics is really about increasing our capacity to feel what's already here without our body shutting down so it doesn't feel as intense. And so through somatic practice, you will in many ways start to feel better, but you will also feel a lot of grief sometimes. You also won't feel happy and calm all the time. You're going to be able to feel more deeply the sensations of joy and pleasure and freedom and all of these things, and you're also going to be able to experience the longings, the sadness, the despair, and the grief. So it's really about being able to access the full encompassing range of emotion and not just feel happy and calm. And somatics is also not a way to avoid or bypass reality. And that is really important. You know, over the years, I've seen so many spiritual teachers and people, which I'm sure you have too, that can sometimes be really abusive or controlling, gaslighting, and bring people into these states of like completely disconnecting from their bodies and reality for the purpose of domination and control. And so it's really important when you're in a vulnerable state and you're looking for teachers and you're looking for people to guide and support you on your journey of healing, that you're finding people who are not operating in this way that is very predatory and abusive. And often one of the signs of that is people who are teaching in a way that is really about bypassing reality and promising this lifestyle and experience of just pure bliss and separation from emotion and from humanity. Somatics somatics is really a lot deeper than that. It's about learning how to stay present with your body, your sensations, and your life, especially the parts that are really uncomfortable. There are many different kinds and schools of somatic practice. For example, there's Somatic Institute, there's Somatic Experiencing, there's Organic Intelligence, Generative Somatics. There's a really huge range of places to study and to explore somatic practice. So each of these different schools is going to have their own philosophy and their own methods, but most of them share a core principle, which is healing through the body and coming back into relationship with our bodies. And one of the good things about there being so many different schools of somatics is that you can actually find a community of people who share similar values, a similar life experience, and who are going to be teaching from that lens and are going to be bringing in practices that are going to reflect what you experience in your own life, in your own culture. And that's really important when you're looking for someone to study somatics with. So outside of schools for studying somatics, there's also working with a somatic practitioner. And when you're looking for a somatic practitioner, you want to find somebody that's really grounded in their ethics and experience. And so some places that are really good to look for a somatic practitioner when you're starting out is to actually go to the website of some of these schools like Somatic Institute and Somatic Experiencing and places like that. And they actually have lists of somatic practitioners that you can look at. I would Google them, research them, learn about them, see maybe if they have a YouTube video so you can get more information about their background, their experience, how long they've been teaching, and if the way that they show up really aligns with you and what you care about and what you're moving through. But even if you don't have a somatic practitioner, there are ways to start small. So one of the first and foundational practices of somatics is a practice that's called resourcing. And this is a practice of starting to bring your awareness and notice in your environment, in the space that you're in, or even in your own body, where you can access little pieces of safety or nourishment and feeling supported. And in that somatic therapy versus talk therapy video, I think that's the video it's in, at the end of it, I do a somatic practice where I lead you through a resourcing practice. So if you're curious about that practice and want to try that on, you can watch that video and that will give you the resourcing practice. Another thing that you can do that is very important is connecting with the land. So the land is our first home. It's filled with resource and with nourishment, and it's one of the first places that we've been disconnected from through colonization. So it's a really important place for us to reconnect with and can provide us with so much grounding and safety and ease, especially for people that maybe don't have access to a big network of support or community just yet. So you can spend time outside, you can observe and feel your surroundings, and you can even do stuff like just being outside while you're doing something else. So you could paint outside, you could dance outside, you could eat outside, just being outside and starting to build a relationship with the land in whatever ways feel accessible to you right now. And then the third thing you can start to do is to practice noticing. So starting to notice the sensations that are present in your body, starting to notice your breath, starting to notice your posture, and feeling that a little bit more. And you don't need to force yourself to feel too much, especially if it's overwhelming for you, but just starting to notice where you can feel a little tiny bit and that to be manageable for you. Somatic healing is really a journey. It's not about rushing or trying to fix yourself. It's all about reconnecting to your body, reclaiming your ability to feel, and reconnecting with life and the world around you in a deeper way. And this channel is really all about giving you the somatic tools and skills, rituals, ceremony, and practices to really support you on this journey of healing, of coming back home to yourself, of starting to build a life from the inside of your body out that really reflects what you care about. So if you want to learn more about somatics and trauma healing, herbalism, sound healing, healing and embodiment practices, then definitely subscribe to my channel and join me on this journey. I post videos on Tuesdays and Fridays. And also don't forget to download my free ebook, which is in the description below, about healing burnout and anxiety. It's filled with a lot of tools to help you navigate your experience and feel resourced and more present in your body. So I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I will see you soon, loves. Bye.